The Batteries Included podcast is brought to you with United Chargers and their Grizzly range. The next generation of Grizzly is here. Meet the Grizzly Ultimate, the most powerful AC Level 2 charger for home use. With a maximum current of 80 amps, that's 19.2 kilowatts. Your vehicle could be charged up to twice as fast as a standard level 2 and up to 15 times faster than a level 1. And of course, it's Wi-Fi connected, so you can take control of your home charging, view stats, set a charging schedule, take part in demand response programs, and control your charger remotely. And that joins the lineup alongside the original Grizzly Classic. The Grizzly Duo, designed to charge two vehicles at the same time. The Grizzly Mini, a portable charging station. And the Grizzly Smart, a revolutionary smart EV charger. Those chargers can adjust the current from 16 amps up to 40 amps, that's 9.6 kilowatts. Plus, the Grizzly Ranger IP67 rated, built in Canada, and with the highest quality materials. You can order yours right now. Go to unitedchargers.com, that's unitedchargers.com.
Hello and welcome to the podcast. Welcome back to the Batteries Included podcast. In fact, we've got a lot to talk about on the show today. It's Friday, April 25th, episode 85. On today's show, we will be talking about the official debut of the Slate Electric Truck, which seems to have broken the internet yesterday. Walmart are building a huge charging network. This story also broke the internet thanks to Tom's video yesterday. And CATL's new fast-charging sodium battery could unlock much cheaper EVs that we've all been waiting for. And, of course, much, much more. I'm your host, Martin Lee, from the EV News Daily podcast. Joining us today is the unimpeachable Mr. Tom Malogany, senior editor at Inside EVs and host of the YouTube channel State of Charge. We also have Dominic Yoni, longtime EV journalist, host of the YouTube channel Drive Electric with Dominic. And our special guests, our YouTube viewers who are joining us live, will have seen them on screen already. Joining us from a very, very early time of day because of their location, our special guests are Liv and Patrick of YouTube fame, the Mackie Vlog YouTube channel. Guys, thank you for joining us today. It's an early start and a late night for you last night. Are you full of coffee, or do you want to go and get yourselves a coffee? Because I've got a cup of tea here.
It's in progress. It's loading as we speak.
Woo! Okay, you might need that. It's a big day. You guys attended the Slate reveal event last night. You were there in person. It was a big event as well. You got to see the truck up close. We talked a bit about it a couple of weeks ago. There wasn't a lot of information. They were just drip feeding the media with some teasers. But oh my goodness, an official launch now. I'll try and there's so much to talk about. I'll try and kind of guide you through it a little bit. Patrick and Liv are the best people to talk about it. It's an ultra affordable, highly customizable. That might be the thing we talk about the most. Refreshingly analog, wind your windows up and down electric vehicle. And for that reason, at least one person on this podcast has already got their order reservation in for it. We've got all the detailed stats to get through today. What's that?
We have ours reserved as well.
At least 3 people on this. Like I was saying, we'll edit that bit out. It's fine. Nobody will notice. At least
I was tempted. I almost did it, but...
Well, Dom and I haven't. I think you've worked that out by now. We'll get onto a bunch of stuff. The battery, I guess, is the one thing we'll start with. Standard battery, 52.7 kilowatt hours, 150 miles, but an extended mile range battery of 84.3 kilowatt hour or 240 miles. This vehicle, which we've seen in truck form, has different body shapes, doesn't charge massively quickly, but will AC charge overnight if it's a working vehicle. Isn't particularly huge. The bed length is 60 inches, 5 feet, or 81.6 with the tailgate down. The bed width between the wheel wells is 42.9 inches, a maximum of about 55 inches. Payload up to 433 pounds, about 635 kilograms. It'll tow 1,000 pounds. It's got a frunk. So none of these stats in themselves make you think, oh, well, this is, the next amazing, greatest EV. But because of the way they've brought this together in a highly customizable way at a very, very low entry price, it really captured imaginations. Liv and Patrick, over to you. Tell us all about this truck. I don't know if you want to start with interior, exterior, basic philosophy? Where do you want to start?
Oh man. I mean, when they first rolled out and they rolled out that exact one pretty much just like bare bones, we kind of thought that was, the most that we'd see, maybe another body style, but then they rolled out, I mean, what, five,
I think it
six
was 5 of them.
of the
And
various
they had a couple of
combinations?
display that were not functional, but they literally drove, I think 5 of them, maybe 4. No, I think it was 5. But yeah, they were actually functional. And the first thing I want to get into is that truck that you see there. Like, there's been a lot of talk about like it's configurable. And I think the biggest thing is like they literally mean configurable like in your garage. So that gray truck, I'm gonna just put this up here. So that's what they transformed the gray truck to in
Sorry.
oh, I know what you're trying to
How
do.
to make your
Oh, that's okay. I mean, basically, they took that gray truck. They had a curtain, and you could sort of see through the curtain. So we got some footage, but you couldn't really see what they were doing. But you saw that they wrapped that truck, changed the wheels, added the they made it
SUV back.
the SUV. They made it into a 5-seat truck within an hour, which was amazing. Sort of like a little bit like mind blowing because I thought, yeah, it's you can configure it how you want, and you can get different body styles. And I thought it would be modular, but I thought it would be like, hey, you got to like drop it off at the shop, and they'll add the back to it, or you spend your entire Saturday reconfiguring it. But they wrapped it, they put this stuff on it, they put a little bit of extra body cladding like over the wheel wells. So the configurable part was just really cool.
And the wrap kit is something that like anyone will have access to. They were very much like, this is going to be open source. So the wrap kit is $500. I know if we are getting this car, we're definitely going to do it ourselves. Yeah, really, really not bad. And they even said that like the STLs for some of the features inside, like the accessory features, are going to be available online for people to print. Like, and they're not like, they're open to that. They want people to do that. It's super cool. What were you gonna say?
Oh no, it's like everything is so configurable. If people haven't seen, it's like it has the hand crank windows, which I think is one of the big negatives. But like, there's no infotainment system. It does have a driver's display, but the idea is like you'll just slap your phone in the middle, and that'll be your navigation, or put an iPad there. It doesn't really even come with a radio, but there's like it was neat. Like if you flip open the compartment on the dash, that's where the speakers go, and they're basically, it'd be like you could buy what speakers you want to go in the dash. So it's like plug and play, it looks like. So it's just a weird way of looking at a vehicle. It's almost like Legos, like you could just plug things in as you want. So that's what I was surprised about.
I was also surprised. Like, I think we all know, like, if we got the one that we wanted, it wouldn't actually be the price, which is $25,000 starting. Like it would probably be 35 or something. But the really cool thing is that like you can add on as it goes. So it seems like you get a vehicle for a certain price. And you don't have to invest in the ultimate model immediately. Like you can, maybe hope that you can get the upgrade kit for power windows, because they have that online, the upgrade kit for power windows.
Wow.
You could get upgrade, speakers or different panels, or you could even get upgraded body and like buy the base truck and then switch out for the fastback, which I thought looked the coolest. So it's like, it's really cool that you could start base and you could grow it with mods and accessories, and you don't have to invest all in one go, which is so much more accessible for people in a lot of ways. Like, let's get the base vehicle, and then like in a year or two, we can save up and like upgrade it. Although then again, in a year or two, the range will be even worse and charging. So,
but yeah, it doesn't have impressive stats by any means. But the simplicity is appealing. I'm not sure who they're gonna necessarily market this to. Like they talked about like the builder market and people that want to tinker in their garage. So that's a big market. I think they should market to criminals, because it makes the ultimate getaway vehicle. Like wrap it real quick, and then it wasn't me. I didn't drive a gray truck. It's a blue SUV now.
Amazing.
And they de-wrapped it that night too. We hung out to the very end, and they de-wrapped it literally, just like the whole crew was peeling off little pieces, and I thought it was kind of cool, so I kept a piece of it because it's a cool color. It's the CO, Chris. It's our favorite wrap colors, like an ocean blue something. So it was cool to see them like de-wrap it very quickly right there as well.
Yeah. We talked to a lot of people at the event because were a lot of other, media type people. And I think the consensus was it's really interesting. But then if you start looking at the price, it sounds great. And you're like, okay, under 20,000 with incentives. So that means 25, 27,000. But then you go, well, I want the extended range battery. I want the 5-seat. I want a wrap. And then all of a sudden you're thinking, am I at 35,000? Am I at 40,000? Like, what is it going to be? And then you're thinking, well, there's an R2 that's supposedly going to be about 45,000. So I'm
That's
torn.
a lot.
Yeah.
It's a comparison.
But still very excited. Like I just want one, and I just want to keep it plain gray and just like so basic, and then let Liv wrap it.
Yeah.
And then when you do those things with a working vehicle, like, maybe some garden work, or you're throwing stuff in the back, or some building materials, I feel a lot more relaxed about doing that with a 25,000 vehicle than a $50,000 vehicle. Like, obviously you can protect your vehicles and treat them nice, and lots of people do. But how much did they talk about this starting price? Because we've all seen vehicles launch and then some years later come out. The $40,000 Cybertruck was 100 and something thousand plus at launch. So starting price 25. If the federal tax credit is around, weirdly, there's been nothing said about that. It's still around. Brilliant. Let's hope it is. That would be under $20,000 if that survives. And there's been, very little. I thought that would go, on day one, but it's still kicking around, which is amazing. Only $50 for a refundable deposit made in Indianapolis. When I watched it, they seem to be going quite big on made in America for America. I think I've been watching, some of the politics that are working at the minute, and people are very proud of making vehicles on home soil. And that's not the cheapest way to do things. Like, we all want things made here. People even want to buy local or go to a farmer's market and buy local. But the idea of saving $10,000 on a car because it might be made in Mexico or China or whatever is also a big deal when money's tight. So what do they talk about the pricing and that really low price?
They didn't talk about it a huge amount, really.
Yeah.
I did question one of the battery guys about the price difference between the extended and the standard, and he hinted it might be like 3,000, which seems very low. Like who wouldn't go for extended range? But we didn't get super definitives on that.
Yeah, it's typical, and this is why like Kyle doesn't like talking about these things, because it's like very vague, and it's like it's very easy to say starting at under 20,000 and it's still like 18 months away. I think that's one of the things. It's like into 2026 sounds far away, maybe because it just I don't want it to be 2026 yet, but yeah, they didn't talk a lot about price. They were very much like, if you talk to anybody, a lot of it was like, hey, did you notice you could, change the speaker out? And we have this thing where you could literally put like, what was it? The
slatelets,
little
slatelets with like a 3D printed logo on it or whatever.
It reminds me of, if like Subarus, they have little like emblems you can get from Subaru and put on the back of your car to sort of identify like I'm a hiker or a biker or whatever. But basically like, it's open to whatever you want to put on the dash to sort of like make it your own truck. So everything they wanted to talk about, and the cars that they had displayed were wrapped differently, different configurations, and everybody was just sort of, what do you think about this? What do you think about this configuration?
The versatility. And a lot of the people we met, like there were like maybe 4 people that I met that worked with Slate that were in interior design, like interior design accessories, interior design, different areas. And they're really, really, really focusing on like the variety and the versatility and how things switch out. Like even I really do like this, like the door panels on the interior that you see the little white nub on the right. That door panel portion is replaceable. So like the place where there's a lot of human interaction, your elbows rubbing against that, whatever, you get tired of that gray color, you want to switch it out. Those are easy to change things. And the panels on the exterior, like the way that they designed it is very simplistic so that it's easier to replace and easy to wrap. because I don't know, like we've PPF'd our Mach-E, the front of it, and all those curves are such a pain. But this looks like it would be super simple because of how just simplistic the design is. Like it's very much like they just lean into that versatility so much.
And
Yeah.
the other thing that I would say is surprising, that was surprising to me, is like I knew it was going to be small, but when they rolled it out on stage, I was like, oh my gosh, this thing is tiny. And we tried to get some photos of ourselves to give it like perspective. And I would say like a lot of trucks nowadays, even like something small like the Maverick, is the hood is even tall. Like, but it's like the hood is like, for me, and I'm short, the hood is like elbow height, which is basically almost like our Mach-E. So it is very tiny. We did see it, the blue one, when it was in the 5-seat configuration. We actually got to sit in it. And one of the other influencers was like, can I get in the back? And they were like, I don't know how you would get back there. And I was like, well, that's interesting. So,
Wow.
Somebody. Oh, there's some videos of I think Out of Spec has a video up right now, and Inside EVs as well. And the guy from Inside EVs, he did get in the back for his video, in their studio. So I guess under controlled circumstances or whatever, and not at the big reveal event. So if anything went wrong, they could fix it.
yeah.
But it seemed he said it was tight. The seat was a little bit too close to the floor, but he had lots of headroom, but not a whole lot of knee room. He was like
Yeah.
6'1", and it was hard to get back there because it's a 2-door, right? So it's really for for kids. It's not, or your young friends, not your grandmom.
The friends you don't
Friends
like.
you don't like, yeah.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
so no advanced driver assistance, no real ADAS to speak of, no power seats, no built-in nav, no paint unless it's wrapped, no standard audio. They really did go for that blank slate, pardon the pun. They know this is coming. That's that all the time. And yes, it does come with, it'll be very safe. So it'll be a new vehicle for very little money. It'll have all your basic standard stuff like traction, stability control, forward collision warning, automatic emergency braking. All these things cars have to come with anyway these days. Like car makers say, hey, look what we've put in. It's like, yeah, regulations say you have to have them. Reversing cameras and stuff like that. That's a regulation. It's a US regulation about reversing cameras. But let me ask you very quickly about the Bezos thing. Was that they wouldn't have even mentioned Jeff Bezos at the launch, right? Because I'll tell you why. This went for a couple of years ago to, the company that kind of came before Slate as it is now was backed by a group of people that included Jeff Bezos of Amazon fame. And it was like Bezos backed this. And then, the headlines yesterday was Battle of the Billionaires. Bezos makes an EV that Musk couldn't at 25,000. I'm like, how much has he really had to do with this? I presume didn't get a mention at the launch or anything.
Not at all.
Yeah.
But and I can't take credit for this, but somebody noticed if you take that TE at the end of Slate, move it to the beginning,
Right.
and you now have Tesla. So a couple
Anagram.
of people, at the event that were not employees, like other media people, were talking about the battle with Tesla, but also more about like, is it Amazon / Bezos backed? And we talked about like some of the advantages that could present them, because Amazon sells tons of everything, but they may be able to figure out like using their power of their system that they have now, what accessories people want from their vehicles, and sort of like know which ones would be most desired. There's the speakers going in. I should look at their website.
Yeah, the website's amazing, actually.
Yeah.
Like this, it has a whole configurator where you can put, you can do your customization. Let's see, I can show you really quick here. Just go to personalize it, I guess, and then it has a whole like studio, with different environments and cameras,
and it's too early to expect them to have pricing, but I wish they had pricing so that as you're like just playing around and like, oh, I like the cladding around the wheels, is that $200 or $800? Just some basic guidelines to know how much I'm, pricing myself out of this thing.
I want to ask a question of the viewers. I think it's interesting because like we have the Equinox TV, like Tom, And you can't use Apple CarPlay or Android Auto. So how do you guys feel about a car that you have to use the native system, or a car that has no native system at all and you're using like your phone? Like, how do you feel about the two?
Well, and that's an interesting thing. We are mostly Android users, and so we're familiar with CarPlay. We use CarPlay. We use Android Auto, but like Android, Google just got rid of their sort of like driver mode if you're not using Android Auto. So like they used to have a mode that you could put your phone up and it would sort of shift maps into like I'm using my phone for nav. They're getting rid of that. So they were just talking about use your phone or use an iPad or a tablet or whatever, but those interfaces aren't designed to be used like Android Auto or CarPlay. So and I don't know if you can put CarPlay on your phone, like you have to project it onto a system. So it's
I think it's cool because a lot of people seem in agreement. Just a phone. A phone. What about you guys? What do you think?
Well, look, I've waited 20 minutes to hear why Tom put his reservation down. So sorry, mate.
Tom,
sorry for dominating all the questions. Tom, over to you. Why did you want one?
So, well, to answer Liv, I'd be fine just using my phone, just using Google Maps. Fine with that. I don't need, if it doesn't show in Android Auto, auto mode, then that's fine with me. That's totally fine. I'm used to it by now. So, a really interesting vehicle. So many people, I think, are saying like, who is this for? Like, I've seen a lot of comments saying, and I think it would appeal to a lot of people because of the price, and the price is kind of obscured. I don't like the fact that they baked in the federal tax credit and say under 20,000. I got news for you guys. Nobody's buying one of these for under $20,000. Nobody, period. Because the tax credit's not going to be here. And Martin made a comment earlier about saying that how, a lot of talk was about it when the new administration took over. Now we haven't heard about it. Well, that's because of our budget cycling, Martin. The budget needs to be shored up, I think, in September-ish. So watch, we're not going to hear anything. And then you're going to start to hear about this end of July or early August. And by the end of August, we're going to know that it's dead. So, and I've talked to people in government about this, wondering that same question. Why haven't we heard about this yet? They said, wait till maybe the end of July, beginning of August. It's going to start coming up because they have to have the budget finalized and present it. And the way it's stacking up now, the people that are in the know, that are looking at the numbers, it's a healthy chunk of money that the administration can cut out of the budget that they need to do other things. So it's most likely you're going to hear about it in August that it's dead, unfortunately, but it's going to, the people that I know that are involved with government budgets say that it's on the block, it's done. But anyway, hopefully it won't be. So I hate when the companies do this and bake in the price. So it's a $27,000 base vehicle, which is still relatively inexpensive, but there's other $27,000 EVs like Nissan Leaf that are fully featured vehicles that have, a sound system and a center display screen and power windows and
armrest.
So so this isn't revolutionary. I still want one, and I want a base one with nothing in it. The cheapest, give me nothing, and then if I have it for a while, then maybe I'll buy the add-on options, because obviously you can do them yourself, just about everything, it sounds like. So, I'd figure out what do I want, and then maybe buy it piece by piece, and maybe even do videos of me adding this and adding that. Who knows? But I immediately put my reservation in, like, I think a minute after, they said you could do it. I don't know if you could reserve it before they announced you could reserve it. So I could be way back in the queue. I don't know. But like a minute, I was at home. I wasn't at the event. So I was on my computer, just boom, put it in, reserve. But definitely, I just want a total flat out base one, no wrap, no nothing, and just drive it around. Small battery, don't need the big battery. I have other vehicles to go far distances. Just a tooling around town vehicle. I would love that. I mean, I've said it every time we have another one of these micro trucks, Tello, and what's the other one, Wolf, or I forget, or whatever that we talked about. I so want one of these, so much so that I looked into importing one of the old Honda Actis and converting it. I even reached out to Rich Rebuilds about the cost to convert it to electric and everything. I mean, I'd be in it for like 50 grand. It would be worth like 10 grand when I'm done. So I'd rather just buy one that's made like that. So yeah, I'm excited about it. I think they will sell if they can keep the price under $30,000. But it's still not some kind of revolutionary super deal when you really look at it. And as Patrick and Liv said, get a couple options that make it usable, like power windows, a better speaker system, maybe even I don't think it had an armrest. Isn't it an armrest? I need an armrest.
No
I
armrest.
mean, I'd build my own, honestly, out of
Right. You
wood
need
and just put it between the seats and put a little, styrofoam on the top of it or something. I'm fine with that. But add some relatively simple creature comforts to the thing, and you're going to be in the mid 30s probably. And while that's great, you can't buy an electric pickup truck for 35,000 today. It's not revolutionary. It's not like, oh my God, look what they did. It's a cool concept. It's going to take all kinds and all shapes and sizes for EVs, and I want one, but it isn't like this, absolutely, game changer in my opinion.
I think it's a pretty fresh concept. I don't think we've never really seen anything quite like this thing before. Something that you can just like take the body panels off of, or and just reconfigure in so many different ways and so many different accessories. No radio. Yeah. It's some interesting decisions there. So I'm looking at the packaging of this, and after seeing like the Tello truck, this is probably Liv and Pat. This is like just a little bit bigger than the Tello, right? Basically.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. It's a little bit bigger. It's not like shockingly like like the first time you see a real Mini from the old days. It's not like that Mini. I was expecting like maybe an old Ford Ranger size, but it feels a bit smaller than that.
Right. Yeah.
Especially
Toyota, like a 2002 Toyota Tacoma size, maybe with a shorter bed.
No, I think smaller than that. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I just think so. I saw the Tello truck up, close and personal. I got to see that, and so, they could fit a 4x8 sheet of plywood in that, and I think that's kind of a miss for this one. It's you can't put the 4x8 between the wheel wells. It's just you can get it in there, but it's going to be like slanted on the side. I mean, just some of the packaging of the Tello is just so clever, and I think they missed a few tricks really with this, but I do like that it has a frunk. It has a big, it has a hood. And I think the Tello could be a little bit longer and benefit from that. And then in a Tello, your face is really close to the front glass because everything's very compact, right? And so to me, it's a little uncomfortable. Maybe it would go away after driving it for a while, but I think this driving position would be good. But it's still, it doesn't quite check all the boxes for me. It checks a lot of boxes, but. Yeah, it'd be great. Like you jump in and go fishing down to the coast. To, take the doors off. I mean, there's a lot of fun. Could be had with this thing, but
yeah, and something that you can use and not worry about, like especially if it's a work truck for like a painting company or whatever. I will say, I thought it was quite comfortable. It was quite comfortable to sit in. It didn't feel like anything was too close or anything like that.
And with no armrest. It felt spacious inside.
Right. So it's a room for a console, right? They could probably design a console to fit in there that you could buy afterwards, and that would be have an armrest integrated into it.
Yeah, definitely.
Kyle's in chat. He's got a couple.
A couple. Yeah. Well, that's
not?
How many plaids equal one of these?
He says this is a Dom kind of truck, and somebody mentioned that earlier too. That it is kind of like because I have like a 1988 Ford Ranger. So what would really do with this for me is like it needs 4-wheel drive, and it has an open diff. I kind of want a lockable diff too, because if you're like driving on the sand, like I live in Florida, if we go off road anywhere, it's like sand or mud, and you have to have a locking diff or you're going to get stuck basically. So. I think this has 0 off-road chops really, and I think that's a miss. But maybe they can do something. I don't know if you can swap out the axle or how that would work, but but for like
look, it's it's a value play. It can't have everything. I know I've heard
True.
people say, "Oh, it charges 10 to 80 in 30 minutes. That sucks, and the range sucks, and it doesn't have this. It doesn't have all-wheel drive. Like it can't be everything for everybody, but I understand you're explaining why it's not the Dom vehicle that everybody thinks it is. But it's all about being an entry vehicle, I think, and being able to get an electric pickup truck to market, albeit completely stripped, ridiculously stripped, for under $30,000 when nobody else has been able to do that. And there's a lot of people that would get an electric vehicle, whether it's a pickup truck, a hatchback, or whatever, if they could afford one. And I know a lot of people's answer is just buy a used one. Well, let them eat cake. People want a new vehicle, and if this comes out and it can hit that price target there at 27,000, I think they'll sell a lot of them completely stripped, and then people can do what I'm doing as they save their money down the road. They could say, "Oh, I can't wait to get a better sound system." 6 months later they buy that option, and then a few months later they do something else, and they can save up enough to buy this and that, and all of a sudden 3 years later they've spent an extra 35 that 104,000, but now it's the truck they wanted, but they got that new truck, and they could afford it. So that's what I like about it.
Yeah.
Something that I was thinking just now that would be interesting is, we always, a lot of times a new EV comes out and we're like, well, I'll wait till it goes on the used market. This one would be very interesting on the used market because there's not a lot of wiggle room for it to lose $30,000 in value. But I think one of the things that'd be interesting is like knowing that, like, if you see one on the market, normally you're like looking for the exact configuration that you want because it's the used market. But this, it's like, doesn't have the SUV part, but I can go buy that. Like I can just buy any base used vehicle and then modify it to what I want. So I think that'd be an interesting thing a couple of years down the road.
Yeah, that's a lot of resale value.
Yeah, Lionel said something. I'm sorry. Let me grab this other comment real quick. Lionel said the Chevy Bolt has way more features than a Slate truck. And think about it. If the new Bolt that comes out later this year, I think the end of this year ish, if that's priced what GM says under $30,000, think about the comparison. I know it's not a pickup truck, but you put the Bolt's back seats down. It's pretty big back there. You can fit a lot of stuff. It might not be as cool as the Slate truck, but if they're both comparably priced, the Bolt's going to go at least 250 miles. Even the base Bolt EV is going to, and you have a complete car. So think about that. Put it up against a Bolt, and you're a new car shopper. That might be something that drags you away from this.
Yeah.
Yeah. Totally.
Just
I know it's not a pickup truck; it's different. But you want an EV, and you've got under $30,000 to spend, and here's your options. That's interesting.
I guess this comes down to, again, like who their target market is, because I envision if someone wants a work truck, they're not going to get a Bolt. But if they're not necessarily targeting the work truck sort of market, then they might lose people to stuff like the Bolt. So.
I think it's such a cool idea to have a cheap, and I know it's a lot of money, but in relative terms of the car market, a cheap vehicle that is an EV that you can just not worry about how you treat it. I'm not saying we mistreat our vehicles, but just I think it's so cool to have something there at that price point that if you run a gardening business, or if you want to go away at the weekends, or if you have a 2-car garage and one of them is particularly nice, and all in my situation, I have 2 young children. I mean, they are just terrorists in terms of where I find food. It literally kills me. Like, how did this get here? They'll smush yogurt into anywhere. And it's like that kind of vehicle that I just don't need to stress. It's why I still keep, we've still got a 15-year-old Volkswagen Golf stop-starty thing in the driveway, that if I'm going to go to the dump or the recycling center, or take a bunch of, just go to the DIY store and pick up some building materials. We just take that one because it doesn't cost anything to insure. It's like 200 quid to insure. I very rarely drive it. I love having an old car around, and it's done 120,000 miles. And I've not done the timing belt yet. And one day it's going to snap and just implode on itself. And I'm ready for that. It's fine. But I love having just this car that, you know what, I don't care. If someone door dings it in a car park, I don't care. I'm like, if someone mistreats like the nice cars that we have, like there's a level of stress I don't need. We should probably move on from this.
Yeah,
I thought it was
there's
interesting.
There's a lot of excitement around this thing, though, right?
Yeah.
It's just like
And
the
you know what was
concept
interesting? What was interesting is Tesla on their earnings call this week said, look, the cheaper Teslas are coming. They didn't call it the $30,000 Tesla, but they're coming. They said, stay with us. And that's going to be like the Mexican Model 3, because there's a Model 3 in Mexico with the cloth seats and all that to get the price down. And Tesla do that and say, well, maybe we'll have a $30,000 Model 3 that'll have no steering wheel heater, no heated seats, cloth seats, no screen in the back, no ambient lighting. And like the world seems to say, well, that's terrible. They can't be bothered to invent whatever it was, the Model A, the Model Q, Model 2, whatever. Like that, they're very critical of that process. And here's a startup company that isn't actually making vehicles yet, but that's come along and go, here's a completely decontented vehicle, and we're all celebrating it. I think that was kind of interesting to observe those two reactions. People were really harsh on Tesla for saying, well, we'll just take everything out of the ar and do it for 30K. And everyone was like, wow, that's a lot of rubbish. I'll just go a used one with all of the stuff on, which is also a good point. But interesting. Let's hope they make it. Let's hope they do it.
I assume I didn't hear anything about this. Somebody put in the comment section. Maybe Patrick and Liv can answer. I assume it does have air conditioning, right?
Yeah.
Yes,
Climate control.
yes.
Okay.
Yes.
And
That might be a red line for me.
Yeah,
Right, yeah.
I can live without
That's a red line.
windows, I think, but I don't think I can live without air conditioning.
The controls, and we can finish with this part. The controls, it does have manual controls, obviously for the AC, but it's like the interior, like those type of controls, reminded me of like a 1985 truck or something.
Yeah.
It's like it's not going to say like it's at 68 degrees. It's going to be like it's bluish.
Not having a bench seat is a huge miss to me. I would love a little bench seat in that, you know.
Yeah.
I don't know why they didn't. When you look at how they're so like decontented, that has to cost less than two individual bucket seats, I would imagine. You know, and I mean it would be perfect for that. Like I almost want to retrofit. If that was an option, I might check that box.
And it would make a good
I
like,
would check that
retro truck.
box.
Like because this like looking at it and then it's a bit smaller than the trucks that I grew up with my like uncles and everybody, but it reminds me of that. Like, we'd have the nice car with the roll up windows and everything. And then like you hop into my uncle's truck that was a real farm truck, and you're like bench seat, crank windows, beat up to hell, like that's sort of what this reminds me of. And it's like I wouldn't mind getting a wrap that's, like an old 80s Chevy or Ford truck with
rust
and rust. Yeah, that would be so cool.
I do have to say I love retro features. I love manual buttons and tangible things like that. The door handles are very ergonomic, both on the interior and exterior of the Slate. But no, I'm a no on the manual windows. I'm a no. I'm not
Really?
going. I'm not.
Yeah.
I love.
So my truck, I have an old truck, small truck like this with power windows, but I've changed those motors 3-4 times the side. I'm not really sure over the years. I see those crank windows. I'm like, yes, because changing window motors is no fun. Basically,
I'm fine cranking it up. I mean, I definitely wouldn't upgrade to the power windows. I would enjoy that. I think.
Yeah, it's interesting.
I just want to go through like, hold on.
I feel like my age or whatever. When my first. I don't know how many. I probably was into my 5th or 6th car before I had power windows. So now you can't get the vehicles without them.
Yeah,
I love them. Not going back.
Right.
All right. Okay. Now, if the Slate hadn't done their thing yesterday, and Patrick and Liv were there very late last night and up very early this morning to tell us about it, I think this next story would have been our headline. Probably by a country mile. It's the massive, massive story this week. And that is a retailer with a total of 5,200 potential locations across a couple of their brands saying they are going all in on EV charging. The phrase game changer gets thrown around a lot, but this really could transform EV charging in the US. And when they knew that the announcement was coming, there was one person they called. Tom, this wasn't an exclusive with, I don't know, Motor Trend or the Wall Street Journal. Walmart gave you a call a long time ago and said, would State of Charge like to come and have the exclusive on Walmart going all in on EV charging? You have somehow kept this on the down low for a long time now, and you can finally spill the beans. Like, they are huge. They don't do anything by halves. The hardware they're going to be putting in is just the best of the best. Tom, tell us all about it.
Yeah, thanks, Martin. It is huge news. And you guys know, if you follow this channel or the podcast, I've been kind of hinting that I had a big story coming up. I've been engaging with Walmart now for a while, talking about this. It's not a complete surprise because Walmart did put out, I think it was 2 press releases, one in 2023, one in 2024. Just basic press releases say, hey, we're going to do EV charging. We're going to put chargers in kind of across our network. And then, that's it. Just put out these press releases. Nobody talked about it. They didn't give anybody an interview. Multiple news sources reached out to them for comment. They're like, yeah, we're going to let it live on our press release for now. And then, we started talking a while back, and they agreed to let me kind of have an exclusive on the first comprehensive interview with anybody big in the company to talk about their plans and ask them questions about what they're going to do. So I flew down to McKinney, Texas. They have 3 pilot sites now. One's in Crossroads, Texas. One's in Springfield, Arkansas. And then this was a pilot site in McKinney, Texas, but now it's a fully operational site. In their pilot sites, they tested out different charging equipment for a while. They were swapping out chargers. They were using charge points for a while. They decided to not use the charge points. They're going to be using Alpatronic HYC 400s, which we see on this site, and also ABB's new 400 kilowatt chargers. That's going to be their 2 vendors to start off with. But they said they're going to be vendor agnostic. If they come across another unit that they are happy with, they can do that, because they want their customer experience to go through the Walmart app, so everybody has the same experience regardless of the charging equipment. I know a lot of people don't like that, but that is what their policy is going to be. So I flew down there and checked out the site, made a short video. I kind of just made like a how you charge on a DC fast charger video here, because I know a lot of eyes on this video weren't going to be our followers or the deep EV people. It was going to be people that just said, oh my God, Walmart's putting in EVs. Wow, this EV chargers, this must mean that these things aren't going away, because there's a lot of people in a lot of areas of the country that really still believe that electric vehicle adoption is going to fade out, particularly with the new administration that's going to kill funding and the NEVI program and so forth. So with Walmart saying, well, wait a minute, we're actually going to put these out there. We're going to put them in thousands of our locations, tens of thousands of chargers in thousands of our locations by the end of this decade. So, we heard this with Iona saying 30,000 charging stalls by 2030. Walmart's looking at about that same type of pace, somewhere, 2,000 to 3,000 locations and tens of thousands of chargers by the end of this decade. But they won't stop there. They're obviously going to continue going on, but they wanted to give some type of a guideline of this is where we're going to be at in 4.5 years or so. Thousands of locations. And, it's huge because 90% of Americans live within 10 miles of a Walmart. Mm-hmm. And the other 10% live in such rural areas that EV adoption is minuscule. So, virtually 100% of the potential electric vehicle customers in the US in the next 5 years or so live within 10 miles of a Walmart. And, just knowing that if nowhere else, I'm within 10 miles of a DC fast charger. So if you live in an apartment, this is a huge plus, I think, for the apartment dwellers, more so than the the cross-country drivers or the road trippers that for them, a place like a Sheetz or a 24-hour convenience store might be a better stop because they're typically located right on the highway. They're open 24/7 for restrooms, snacks, coffee, things like that. But think about this for the apartment dweller that wants to go electric. That maybe shops at Walmart already. They're already going there, or maybe they'll start going there now once a week. Picking up. This will be your grocery stop. You'll come in, plug in, go inside, buy some things. 35, 40 minutes. You come out and you unplug and go. So it's huge. It's absolutely huge when a retailer like Walmart says, this is the future that we see, and we're going to put these in thousands of our locations. This is a seismic shift in public electric vehicle charging. So for those that were concerned about NEVI funding getting canceled, between this and Iona alone, these companies are pledging 50 to 60,000 DC fast chargers, high speed, 400 kilowatt DC fast chargers in the country installed in the next 4 to 5 years.
I think the interesting thing here, Tom, is Walmart being a retailer, and I wouldn't mess with retailers if I was, going up against any industry. They know everything, whether it's loyalty schemes, whether it's knowing exactly what to stock in what location at what time of year. They can probably, Amazon talk about they can stock exactly the right kind of brand of coat in your zip code, and you'll probably be buying that when the weather turns bad around this month of the year. Like their algorithms, their prediction, their fierceness in competition. Retailing is absolutely cutthroat, and if you are a good retailer like Walmart, I don't shop there, so I don't know. I've seen people in the comments being like, I wouldn't want to go there. Like, I don't know that. I can't comment. But I know that they're massive, and I know that big companies get to be big companies by being very, very good, especially in retail, at understanding their customer. Tom, were they talking about their customer charging and then going in, or were they doing this to make you feel good about the Walmart brand? What do they talk about?
So, they're a business. They're there to make money. I think they've been studying this market for a while. Adam told me that they've actually been, as you would expect, a company like Walmart, doesn't just say, oh yeah, let's do chargers. They've been studying. They've actually told me they were studying their partners. Like, let's say Electrify America, EVgo had deals with Walmart in their parking lots, right? So Walmart was studying throughput on those sites. And studying what the customer does, what percentage of the customer just sits in their car, goes in the shop, spends money, how much. I wouldn't be surprised if they didn't track the customer from the car in the store to see how much money they spent and how much time they spent in the store. These are sophisticated companies. It's the largest retailer in the world. They didn't get that way by being lucky. So they've been studying the hell out of this for the last few years. They decided that this is good for business. And there's so many different levers they have to pull. I mean, the synergy between shopping there, think about it. Get $20 off your EV charging today if you spend $100 in the shop. Walmart Plus customers save, X amount of money. They're going to have a special deal for their Walmart Plus customers, which I think Walmart Plus customers get like 50 cents off a gallon of gasoline or something like that. So they're going to have a special deal with EV charging. They're also, while I tried to corner them on pricing and being the lowest price, they wouldn't say we're going to be the lowest price, but they're a value brand. There's no way I believe that Walmart is going to sell electricity for more than what the guy down the block is going to be selling it for, whatever network it is, whether it be Tesla, Electrify America, whatever. I don't think they'll let somebody that's within driving range have a lower price. I mean, we'll see as we go. Right now, when I went, it was 42 cents per kilowatt hour. And I searched the Tesla stations and I think it was Electrify America or whatever. There were a couple networks in the area. 42 cents was the cheapest at that time because it was peak hours when I was there. The other networks have peak pricing. So, but they told me don't really pay attention to the pricing right now. This is all in beta. It's still in pilot program. So they have a lot of levers that they can pull to make people want to come to their store to charge, because they know a certain percentage of those people are going to come inside, particularly Walmart Plus customers. Because if you're spending that, what is it, like $110, $120 a year to be a Walmart Plus customer, then you are shopping at Walmart. You're not going to be that guy that comes, plugs in, sits in your car for 40 minutes and then unplugs and goes home. So they know they have you, and they know that if you're going to charge for a while, they might have you a little bit longer. And there's all kind of studies that the longer you stay inside a store, whatever the store is, you spend more money on average. So, I'm sure they've studied this to death, and they're going to make it attractive for people. And like I said, this isn't the solution for everybody. I did have a lot of comments of people saying, I don't want to go to a Walmart. That's the last place I want to be. That's fine. Don't go there. Go to the Sheetz or the Buc-ee's or whatever you want. But we just need chargers everywhere. And there's nobody else can put them everywhere like Walmart. Walmart owns the property or has super long-term leases on these enormous parking lots all over the place. One of the hardest things networks have to deal with is finding locations and getting land lease deals on the parking spaces, getting these properties to allow you to take up 10 or 12 of their parking spaces. That's not an easy ask. Parking is so difficult everywhere that, when you go to a Sheetz or whatever and say, look, we need 10 of your 45 parking spaces. That's a big ask. So Walmart it's no problem for them. They have all the real estate. They have the money. Their projected revenue in 2025 is $710 billion. Walmart. So, 710 billion. So, I mean, they can put in tens of thousands of charging stations and just be like, yeah. Oh, did I drop a 20? You know what I mean? So,
wow.
So there's so many reasons why. And, this is going to be good. It's going to be good for the industry. I think it's going to be good for Walmart. And think about the effect it's going to have on their competitors. If you're Target now, what do you do? If you're Costco, what's your play now? Because that there's a percentage of your customers that you're going to lose. Yeah. There is a percentage of customers that are going to say, hell, if I can charge 2 also while I do my weekly grocery shopping or whatever, I might as well go there. I don't really like Walmart, but you know what? If they're going to let me charge while I shop and give me a discount, depending on how much money I spend on goods that I was going to buy anyway, then I'm going to go there now. So this could really be the impetus to force the other companies to say, look, we got to do this. And I know Affordable Alpaca said Costco has some DC fast charge installs. They announced a couple of months ago that they were going to start doing this. And I'm sure it was because they realized what Walmart's doing. Because 15 years ago, I actually, at the time I was told not to say anything about it, but so much time has passed. We could, I could mention it. I know somebody that was from a very high level ranking person in one of the major charging networks, had a meeting with Costco about installing chargers. They kept contacting them. Costco wouldn't answer their. Finally, they said, okay, we'll have a meeting. They set up a meeting, and this was with Costco's top management. The first thing that Costco said to them in the meeting was, look, we just allowed you to have this meeting to shut you up, to make you stop contacting us. Before we even go any further, let me know. We will never install chargers in our parking lot. We don't want people dwelling in our parking lot. Our whole business model isn't about selling products. They looked at them. They said it's about membership fees. We make our money on the annual membership fees. We don't make money if you buy more money at Walmart. Our prices basically break even. So do we want people hanging out in our parking lot for an hour or two? This was back then when charging was a little bit slower, and I think that they approached them for putting in level 2 charging, which they did at the time because there wasn't really comprehensive DC fast charging. So they said, thank you for coming, but no, we will never put chargers in our parking lot. And this is a fact. This isn't something I'm making up. This happened. but they've changed their tune now because they realize competition's doing it, and they kind of have to. And the whole market has changed since this might have been 2012, something like that, 2013.
So, but the Costco does have gas stations, right, in their
Oh yeah,
parking lots. So they have
a lot of
people
gas
line.
stations. So does
Yeah,
Walmart.
and they
Walmart
sit
has
there in
like
lineups with big
500 gas
lines.
stations, I think.
Really? Oh yeah, that's
Yeah,
true. One of our Walmarts has a gas station.
yeah.
I forget. It's
I
across.
have
There's one that I
Walmart
don't
actually.
use, but
Sorry, Walmart has a little. I think Costco has like 400 or 450. I think Walmart has like 500. Walmart has slightly more gas station locations, and they also partnered with Murphy. And some of their gas stations on the Costco on the Walmart sites are run by Murphy, but it's the Walmart gas, and you get your discount and everything.
I wasn't
Interesting.
aware of that. Even they have this. I didn't even know there was a Walmart Plus program. So but I downloaded the app last night because you need the app, right, to use the.
Right now you do. You need the app. There will obviously be cases where you can use a credit card, like the California mandates it. You have to you have to offer just a non-membership or no app thing. So they're going to put credit card swipers, I think, where they have to, but I don't think they're going to put them where they don't have to. I know that turns a lot of people off. If you're not happy with it, don't use it. But it's going to be going through it. It was really easy. There's no special app or anything. When you arrive at the station, if you're near a Costco station, it knows that through your GPS, and it when you open up the Walmart app, you don't get the general app. You get like a page about, do you want to charge?
Oh,
And
nice.
yeah, or there's a big tile across the middle of it where it says, do you want to charge? But if that doesn't come up, when I was there, they're still working on that. It only came up once out of the 3 times or 4 times that I used the app. If it doesn't come up, you just use on the top of the Walmart app, there's like a search bar and a QR scanner. You just tap that and you scan the QR code that's on the screen. And then it asks you which port do you want, because each station has 2 ports, a NACS and a CCS. At launch, they're going to do, all the stations are going to be 50-50. They're going to have 1 NACS and 1 CCS plug. But as NACS transitions into more and more vehicles, they said they're going to gradually reduce the number of CCS1 ports and have more and more NACS ports. But that's looking into the future. For the foreseeable future now, it's every station is going to have an NACS port and a CCS1 port. That's not what Iona does. Iona has, it's like 70-30, I think, at their sites, and their stations are either like 2 NACS ports or 2 CCS ports. Walmart's doing every single station has 1 and 1. Although they got the order wrong on that. They have the NACS plug on the right side of the station and the CCS one on the left.
Oh,
it should have been the other way around for Tesla vehicles and native NACS ports that have the rear left side of the vehicle. It would have been better if the NACS port was on the left side of the charger.
Did you mention that to the gentleman you were speaking with on your podcast?
I didn't. Unfortunately, I ran out of time. I had like 6 more questions to ask, and I had a set amount of time, and there was other people there that were managing the time that said, look, that's it. Well, 1 question left. And I was like, ugh, because I had idle fee questions. I had maintenance questions about, what's their uptime? How are they going to maintain it? A bunch of questions I had on that didn't, but I have a great relationship with them. I'm sure we're going to follow up and do some more things as the network starts to roll out. They only have 1 site open now, but they will have dozens of sites open this year. And just like Iona, the first year is going to be the slowest build out year. That's just always the case. I would venture to guess, although this didn't come from them, that have less than 100 sites open this year. But then in 2026, like they'll open up like 300 to 400 sites or something like that. And in 2027, 400 to 500 sites, or they got to get the ball rolling. They're still, just getting everything rolling.
Liv and Patrick, what do you think of this news?
Well, I think it's fantastic. I remember when we first got our Mach-E and we were doing road trips between like Denver and San Diego, a lot of the stops were at Electrify America at a Walmart. And I remember people always going like, oh, I don't want to stop at Walmart. Well, for me, like I never, normally just like run into a Walmart when I'm in town, but on road trips, I think they're actually fantastic stops. And I love the concept of Iona or whatever. But if I'm going to stop for 35 minutes or 40 minutes or whatever, it's not bad to have a Walmart, because it's 110 degrees when you're crossing the desert in Utah and there's a Walmart. You can walk around, stretch your legs. I don't want to spend 35 minutes basically in a glorified gas station. So it's sort of like, for me, I love the ability to walk around. We were going to stay at a hotel and I'm like, oh, I forgot my swim trunks. Walmart has swim trunks, and I think Tom is right. I guarantee that they were tracking those stations that had Electrify America, and they could probably see like an increase, because I don't think before that, like, we hadn't really gone in Walmarts that often, never on a road trip, and then all of a sudden we're in a Walmart and it's like, you might as well get some snacks, or oh, by the way, I need my swim trunks, so I think it's fantastic. It hopefully they're bigger than Electrify America, and we don't have just 4 ports. But for the urban drill, city folks, I think it's also great, because it's sort of like when we were looking at an ID4 or Ioniq 5, I was like, where are the Electrify Americas? I was like, well, they're at Walmart. Well, if we had free charging, I would probably start doing my grocery shopping at Walmart, simply for the fact my car is charging while I'm shopping. And it's like, even without the discount, it's just a matter of convenience. If I can do 2 things at once, it just makes a lot of sense.
I mean, yeah, I agree with everything you said. And as we were doing our road trips and everything, I was like, I like this model. I really like that we can do Walmart. I'm excited about this. Like, any way to make charging more accessible to people, more something that fits into their daily life in normal places where they have dwell time. And a lot of people, like, we all grocery shop. Obviously there's services and everything, but like, we all need to get groceries, and that's a place where we have dwell time. So that's a great thing. But I started preferring the idea of like the Rogue charging or the Iona, where the chargers are maintained, they're accessible, there's no ballards in the way, or there's no trash lying around. So the thing I'm also excited about with this is that perhaps the stations will be more intentional, because it always kind of felt like the Electrify America spots at Walmart were like an afterthought. It's like, where are they?
By
Where's
the
the
dumpster.
furthest place in the
Right.
parking lot? But yeah, because that's where it's going to be. And if you're in a mobility device or whatever, if you're lucky, they have one at the front that some people are icing. Some of the Walmarts have like a couple spots at the front, but like, for the most part, you just have a harder time of it. You got to trek all the way to get to the store. So I really hope that this means that they're going to be very intentional with their charging. They're going to have pathways and accessible spots, and like, these will be cared for and maintained as well. So I'm excited about that. I'm excited about greater accessibility to charging for people. And yeah, maybe it'll light a fire under the other retailers, because I'd love that at Costco. That'd be great. Like, yeah, absolutely. They should compete equally with each other.
Target would be one. Like, Target.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
Liv,
Or
so-
Target, as we say here in the South, because we're bougie like that.
Oh.
Liv, you mentioned about accessibility. I know you guys were busy yesterday out with Slate, but in the video I do ask Adam specifically that question, and I said that the existing network seemed to be ignoring the fact that accessibility needs for handicapped drivers, and so few sites have them. What's going to be your policy on that? So they said that they're going to have, and the site that I visited had one stall that was, accessible, like preferred. Like, there's signage on both sides of it, like, use this charger last. Only use this charger if all the other chargers are full. So while it wouldn't be dedicated for, accessible only, which I don't think we're going to get that anywhere anyway, because it'd probably be an empty charger, for quite frequently, until maybe electric vehicle adoption gets over 50%, so I thought that was interesting that the signage said, that this is the last one. And they said, sure, we're going to be fully, ADA compliant. And, we're that's important to us. We're a retailer. We know how important that is to have handicap accessible spaces. So that they're going to have that across the network. And the goal is, as far as location, the goal is for the charging locations to be within 200 feet of the front door of the station. in Walmart parking lots. They said they won't always be able to attain that goal because of different parking lot layouts and traffic patterns and so forth. But that's the goal, within 200 feet with handicap accessible. And also in some of their locations, not all of their locations, unfortunately, this was a big disappointment for me. There won't be pull-through stalls in all of their locations, but they certainly will have them in some. And they said they're going to specifically pick where they are based on some areas have a greater need for pull-through stations. I mean, I think all the stations should have them, but understand that does take up a lot more real estate, pull-through stations, than regular pull-in stations. So I understand why they have to make that decision. I just hope that wherever they can do pull-through stations, even if it means it's a little bit of a further walk to the front door, they should do that. So we'll see.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for asking about accessibility, Tom. That's awesome. I'm so glad you did that. So I can't wait to watch your video.
Well, it's done. I think about 50,000 people have watched it, and it's not been up a day yet. And there's going to be a lot more when Tom looks at his dashboard after this show. So lots of people are very, very interested in that story. His video's doing great guns. You know, how our goods get to supermarkets is interesting as well, because in the future that'll be with electric and supermarkets that have a deep understanding of charging. I was shopping in Aldi yesterday, and I pulled in behind the delivery truck. And I was in there maybe half an hour. And as I pulled out, the driver was getting back in the cab. And, you know, all the staff had come out, all hands on deck. They're pulling all the metal trolleys out the back and getting it into the warehouse and stuff. And he was there for like half an hour, I suppose. And I thought, you know, if there was in the future, a megawatt charger at the bay, because there was one big bay in Aldi where they unload the trucks, that half-hour charge would get you so much more of your working day out of that vehicle. And if Walmart have deep knowledge of EV charging, and obviously they're getting a pretty good deal from the hardware providers that they go to, they're going to be buying them in so many, they won't be paying the same amount as someone who buys fewer. Then when the goods arrive at our supermarkets with electric power, they're going to be an advantage as well, because they'll understand, well, maybe we want to charge our trucks at the depot. We want to charge them at the store when they're unloading, because anytime the vehicles aren't moving, they're not making money. So there's that side of it as well. I just wouldn't ever underestimate a retailer. Amazon, Walmart, anyone like that. They know their customers so well. So this is massive news, huge news. Talking of trucking, guys, it's amazing to have Liv and Patrick on the podcast this week. Also, you've been to a big new charging hub. What's the story with Green Lane's flagship zero emission freight charging hub on the I-15? You were there quite recently, weren't you? What's the deal with this?
We were there yesterday, standing right behind them, taking that picture. Yeah, it's if you guys have seen the Iona videos or Rove charging out by us, it's basically that, but for commercial trucks. And that site there has 41 chargers. Yeah, I held it up already. 41 chargers, but it's like very smartly laid out so that the trucks come in. They can come in and charge. They have a lot of Alpatronic 400 kilowatt chargers. What's really cool is like the fleet manager or the driver can reserve a bay before they get there. So like they can reserve bay 18. They know exactly where they want to go. There's like digital signs that will give you the status as well. If you are en route and the guy that was in 18 before you is taking too long, it'll go like your reservation has been changed to 16 or whatever. So it seems really, really cool. The way that they have it set up. There's also a lounge with like a couch, and there's also office spaces. So if you are a driver that needs to do your paperwork, you could rent an office space for a little bit. It just seems really well thought out. They do not have megawatt chargers, but they had a really cool future-proof setup. So they had like the trenches to the chargers, and they have these like removable concrete panels, I'm sure reinforced, of course, that they can literally like lift everything out, run the new conduit. The chargers were built on these pads that are basically you bolt on one charger, you unbolt it, and you can slap a new megawatt charger on there. So they're designing it to be future proofed, and it's in Colton, California. And if you look that up, if you're in Southern California, you've been to Vegas, you probably drove through Colton, you probably don't know it. It is such a transit corridor, and specifically for trucks. So they're basically working on this first quarter from the ports down in Long Beach and LA all the way to Vegas, and this is the first one. It's about 70 miles inland, and we actually filmed footage as we were stuck in traffic going to the grand opening, and it's literally like will blow your mind how many trucks there are. It isn't like one truck out of every 10. It was probably close to 50% of the vehicles were trucks. And we've been through there at certain times of the day, and it's like one lane of traffic is like a line of trucks for like a mile. It's amazing how much traffic is going through there, and it's just really cool to see.
Yeah. Sorry, I know I
She had to run check on her work.
My day job.
Yeah.
Don't tell them I'm on this call. Yeah, it was awesome. And it very much felt like the Rove model, like exactly everything you want: security, restrooms, food, place to relax, and then like charging with reservations. Yeah, what else could you want? And the fleet drivers, they're on schedules. They know when they're going to be somewhere. They have timelines. So I assume it's going to help so many things be more expeditious.
Yeah, overall, it looks like they've put together a really good package, and they plan to make this a nationwide network. They're going to focus on like the LA to Vegas corridor first, and then they're going to look at other ones. You can just sort of like look, and if they're starting in LA, there's another big corridor going to Phoenix, of course, Northern California. So I'd imagine that's where they're starting, and they won't all be this big, but this is like a first, very focused effort to make sure that they're doing it right. And they're also like, they're doing a lot of things. Like I said, it's like they're making the software available to fleet managers. They are have future proofing for the megawatt charging, but they're also talking about in their plans to do, solar panels to offset some of their energy usage. But the big part was like doing battery storage. So they are looking at a way to shift the costs of like basically charging up the batteries at night and using some of that during the day, but also helping out local communities, doing some grid resiliency by not pulling too much power during the day or during peak hours. So just everything. It seems like the whole EV charging industry has gone through this learning phase, and now we're seeing things like Walmart and Iona, Rove, Greenlane, where now we're in like the phase of like they're making things that make sense, and they even have like, speaking of like the pull through spots, are like, okay, these are going to be the pull through spots, but we know there's going to be some trucks that want to go stay at the hotel and park over here with just the cab, the front portion of the truck. So they can pull over here, and we have 180 kilowatt chargers that'll take a bit longer, and that's fine. And they're like tucked out of the way and things like that. So just a really cool concept. And it made me want, like, I would love to have that for me as a consumer. Like, I know I'm going to be in Cedar City in an hour. Can I just reserve my spot? And I know that spot is working because they're actively actually monitoring their network and know, like, pull into drive bay 7 and that's your charger, versus me pulling up and going, well, this one's broken, and then the next one and the handle's broken, and it's all of that stuff we're all familiar with.
I don't know if you guys mentioned, but this was a center, so it was the grand opening of the flagship center, but then they have 2 other business models too. The one's an express, so that's going to be like just a couple ports, and then plus, yeah, which is going to be like an add-on to a convenience store or something like that. So a pre-existing building that's providing the amenities already. So I'm really interested to see how they expand for that. Like, obviously the centers might be, less plentiful, but it would be great to see more options for bigger vehicles, like the convenience store, the truck that delivers all the goods. If that's electric, then they could charge up there at the same time. So
and the one final thing is, like, we of course are focusing on the EV charging, and it's like, electrifying our transportation network, but that local community of Colton, like, all of those trucks are going through there, and they sort of joked about everything from your toilet paper to your clothes to your food is going through Colton. And I was sitting here thinking about it as the mayor of Colton was talking about that, and I'm like, the only real benefit they are getting right now is none. I mean, like, they're like pollution. It's like they're getting the pollution, all these trucks going through there. But now if we electrify more of them, and a local community like that, if you said, hey, we're going to put like 40 gas pumps here for trucks, it might be like, noisy trucks, idling, all of that other stuff. But it's like they're electric. And as we were filming, of course, there was a bunch of trucks there charging, doing demo charging. They started leaving, and I was like, this is amazing. Like, my back was to them, and I'm like, I didn't even hear them leaving because so I'm imagining that's like a huge positive for this community and for ones in the future that they start installing these.
Yeah, it's a fascinating EV trucking. There's a German channel, I think, called the Electric Trucker. I think I've been watching recently. I think they overdub it with like an AI voice or something because it doesn't match his lips. But maybe he's a native German speaker. But fascinating channel to watch. He's just driving around Europe doing his deliveries of all sorts, shapes and sizes, and of course having to get by on slower charging. But it works fine in terms of European laws of how long you're allowed to drive and downtime and stuff like that. He makes it work. But yeah, megawatt charging is going to unlock some more use cases. And Alpatronic launched their megawatt charger. And I think Ionity are the first European network to start rolling them out now. But that's for vehicles, passenger cars. So they'll attach a megawatt charger to 8 posts or 8 cables in some way. Is it 600 kilowatts is the most that each dispenser will deliver. So it's not a megawatt on a cable. It's 600 kilowatts on a cable. But they'll just load balance that and, and whatnot, depending on how many cars are plugged into it. But yeah,
and then,
at least I can charge.
And at Greenland, they even were talking about like some trucks can have 2 CCS ports. So you can really reserve one charger, even though it's 2 lanes, and be like, I want to plug in both at the same time and charge. So I thought it was really slick. It'll be interesting. And I'm like, I don't know any truckers that we can check in with, but I like to see like in 6 months, like, what do they think of it?
Yeah, it's interesting stuff. Let's talk a little bit before we go. A couple more stories. Dom, I know you follow battery news. It's an interest of yours anyway, a little bit more closely than the rest of us. CATL is the world's biggest EV battery maker, announcing its 2nd-gen sodium battery using sodium ions. Sodium, pretty plentiful on planet Earth, rather than lithium ions. So a different supply chain, more stable in terms of being as a battery. Gravimetric density is up there with LFP already from CATL, 2nd generation of these, 175 watt-hours per kilogram. That's up there with pretty average LFP cells, not the best of the best. LFP is improving as well. This is really interesting, Dom, that CATL are bringing kind of something new to the market.
Yeah, I think this is their 2nd generation of it. So sodium batteries have been kind of quiet. There's been some put in commercial in vehicles in China already, but my impression was they're not great because it's really, they've been struggling to make a good like a sodium ion battery for quite a while, a couple decades. But this sounds like they're really kind of on the path here now. So the potential is that once it's scaled up production, it'll be even cheaper than LFP batteries eventually, you would think, and a different supply chain. So no lithium, no problem. We got this technology here as well, and they're already fast charging it. This is like crazy. So they've got the energy density up to just about where LFP is, 175 watt hours a kilogram, like you said. But they also have like fast charging. They're saying 300 miles in 5 minutes. I mean, that's 300 CLCC miles. That's Chinese miles. So that's maybe, I don't know, 225. But, say it was 200 miles in 5 minutes. So I believe I asked AI about it, and they said it was a 5C charging or like a discharge. Discharge C rates can be a little different from discharging and charging. But so that's pretty amazing because we don't have, a lot of our companies or a lot of the other like NMC batteries or we say ternary batteries because they have 3 elements in the anode. They don't have these kinds of 5C speeds yet. This is just the Chinese companies that seem to be able to do this. Really need to see. Yeah, there's a whole lot to talk about there, but just to keep this simple and fast, it's kind of a big deal, or potentially. We'll have to see how it all works out. But yeah, just a whole different supply chain, and CATL says they're making high and low voltage versions of this. So the high voltage ones go into production like in June, so in a month or so from now, and then low voltage in December. So your car, like a car replacement battery, and they as well, they work really good in cold weather. Some of the stories are saying, so it's always great.
Yeah, really good in cold weather, and really cold weather, like down to negative 40 C. They can charge basically the same as it can at regular room temperature, like
Wow.
70, 60, 70 degrees. So that's really good. But we just still know a lot about. We need to learn a lot about cycle life, and that's great. I'm not trying to throw cold water on it, but there's still a lot for us to understand how well these things hold up over the long haul, and you don't necessarily get that transparency with Chinese companies, and even once they're out on the market, that the data on their failure rates and so forth and so on, we won't get that as clear as we would with an OEM from the Western countries. But it's great to see 5C's nuts. The best charging electric vehicles that we have here, let's say the Lucid Gravity now, Porsche Taycan, they push 3C charging like for a short period of time. They're just towing on 3C. 5C's nut is wild. So it's great, and a lot of people, you hear a lot of people negatively talking about that are negative on electric vehicles, talking about, well, lithium, we don't have enough of it. We can't manufacture. It's horrible for the environment and everything. And one of the things I say is it is the soup du jour, lithium. It doesn't mean that in 10 or 15 years, even maybe 5 or 6 years, who knows, probably not that soon, we might not even be using, that might not be the dominant, source of batteries, lithium. It could be a sodium or something that is in a lab right now being developed that we don't even know about. So, the battery tech is advancing at great rates, and what we're using today and how we're sourcing the materials does not mean that that's how it's going to be in 10 or 15 years when 85, 90% of new car sales are EVs. So
we're
keep an eye on the space.
We're very lucky to have CTOs, CEOs, COOs from around the industry come on and talk on this podcast. And Dom, this week QuantumScape came on. That's a video in the channel a couple of days ago, which people should go check out, right, to learn more about battery technology.
Yeah, this happened a little. I think I announced that this episode was coming like a few weeks ago, but it's finally arrived. It's here on the site now, and it's really like Tom and I talked to the gentleman from QuantumScape, and man, I learned a whole lot during that interview. I've been like studying batteries for a long time and reading about solid state, but there's just something about just talking to somebody who engineers batteries and knows how to explain them really well. There's just a lot of great information in that episode. So if you haven't watched it, I would highly recommend. I think it's like my favorite episode that we've done on this channel in all the years, basically, just for information, that interesting things that the whole wealth of things. Yeah, and someone was asking if they think QuantumScape will actually dominate. I don't know. There's a lot of different companies out there. There's news this week about Stellantis working with Factorial and doing some having their batteries in a car, doing testing already. So it seems pretty advanced state right now, and that's a semi-solid state battery, so 375 watt hours per kilogram, which is not bad. That's a nice improvement over what we have today. So the battery stuff is moving in many directions all at the same time. You have hopefully affordable sodium batteries, and then high performance solid state or semi-solid state batteries for different what do you say, horses for courses over there in England?
Something like that. Yeah.
Right.
I'm looking forward to it. I'm looking forward to it. But for now, nothing wrong with the tech we've got on the roads right now, and it's providing some brilliant vehicles already. It's not as if we're left wanting. The new Kia EV6 was out this week in North America. Base pricing only up by a couple of $100 or so, and you get that whole new look, the new interior, bigger battery as well, and the GT, not the GT line, that's the one that will still be made in South Korea, but the rest will be made in America for America, I believe, as the saying goes these days. Plus, of course, Kia and owners EV6, EV9, Nero get access to Tesla superchargers as well. So enjoy feasting on all those electrons. We will leave you with maybe forbidden fruit for the mere mortals like us, and that is the Renault 5. The Renault 5 hatchback, which is that the story we're going to end with? Perhaps that one about the $135,000 vehicle. I've got a picture of that, Tom. Sorry, Dom. But what they're calling a mini supercar. I thought I'd leave you a little picture of that, which is out for order this week. I don't know if you can find a little picture of that or not. It's supercar pricing. About 135 grand. Renault, the little Renault 5, strapping on a massive body kit to it, like the Renault 5 Turbo of the early 1980s. In-wheel motors, rear-wheel drive, 70 kilowatt-hour pack on that. But if you have a spare 135 grand floating around, that is available to order. Talking of forbidden fruit, the Celestiq beginning its deliveries as well. Great Jay Leno video on that this week. If you have a mere $340,000 floating around, I think they're going to make a couple of hundred of those every year. But still, they should be fun vehicles to see. We'll probably call it a day there. Some good stuff talked about.
Martin, want to make one announcement before we cut out?
Yes.
Right behind me, Grizzly Ultimate 48 amp.
Yes.
Giving one away as I continue to give away a charger every month for people that are interested in joining in the contest. Follow me either on X at evchargingstations.com or on Blue Sky at the same evchargingstations.com. Follow me there and then leave a comment on there just saying why you would like to win the charger, what you'd use it for, and why you would like to win it. I'm going to announce the winner next week, May 1st. I announce it the first of every month that I'm going to continue doing this at least through this year, one free charger a month. And you still have 6 or 7 days left to get in the contest to win the Grizzly 48.
evchargingstations.com is the place to go. If you want to follow the adventures of Liv and Patrick, what's the place that we need to go to find you for Mackie Vlog Online and the brilliant videos you guys are making?
We're on Blue Sky. We're on Threads. On Blue Sky, we're at MackieVlog.com, which is our website as well. Threads, it's at Mackie_vlog. Just
Mackie
search
Vlog something.
Yeah, just search for us. Everybody Googles it now. Nobody writes things down. Just Google it.
Just Google Mackie Vlog. What's your favorite video that you've made recently? What's the most enjoyable one you've made?
I really enjoyed the Ioniq 5 XRT drive. A little off-roading, a little dirt, a little fun. That was very enjoyable.
When did you do that?
February. It was Valentine's Day. Yeah.
Okay, I need to go back and check that out. I'm curious about that.
Yeah, it's a blast. It's very similar, of course, to the Mackie Rally, and we did the rally drive last year. But anytime you can just go play in the dirt with an EV that's not yours, and that's always sort of the interesting thing is like if it's fun to take a rally or a XRT out in the dirt and have fun, but if it were like mine and I'm making car payments on it, I'd be like, this is still got to watch out for that. But yeah. We're sort of in a transition. I'll just say this part is like things are a bit crazy. Like I lost my job last week, so we're struggling to like figure out things and make videos and things like that. But our robot's starting cleaning.
That's amazing. That's amazing.
Go and make more videos. Like yesterday, we'll have a video of Green Lane. We'll have a video with Slate. And next week we're doing ACT Expo or ACT Expo, which is Advanced Clean Technology Expo. Yeah,
Transportation. Advanced Clean Transportation. I
Sorry.
think Tom will be there.
Are you going to act this year, Tom?
No, I can't. I'm not going to go there. I've got a bunch of stuff going on, so unfortunately, I'm not coming.
Yeah, we're excited by that. I mean, it's always the cool, like the big trucks are there, so that's really fun. And a lot of charging companies, so we're going to try to hit up a few of those. But yeah, it's exciting times. Yeah.
All right. Well, go check out their YouTube channel. You find it online. You can go support the channel, be a member if you'd like to offer your support, the videos they're making, and charting the progress and comparing an Equinox to a Mustang Mach-E, because it's always interesting to hear what people make of different vehicles as they drive them on things like road trips and really get under the skin of a vehicle as well. So loads of knowledge to pick up and loads of great videos to check out on their channel. So yeah, look at that. We've done an hour and a half. That's not bad, actually. Thank you very much for joining us this week. If you are on the YouTube channel, then make sure you hit the thumbs up. It's really important because it tells YouTube to recommend what we do to people who don't watch us yet. You can like and subscribe, or rather subscribe and hit the notifications if you want to, but it's important that you hit that thumbs up, and that way we spread the word. We can also get the show as an audio podcast on all the usual places that you find podcasts. That way you can get us in your ears if you're not around a screen at some point, so you don't miss anything happening in the world of the Batteries Included podcast. Thank you very much for joining us, as always, and we will see you again very soon. I missed saying this last week. Hey, Dom, say ciao.
Ciao.